Hello, and many thanks for joining us. This is The Point, where we analyze quite a number of economic policies and try to build on two conversations that may impact the business community and, of course, all the active stakeholders in it. Welcome on board. This is Smart 24 Television as we continue to drive your business. A quick one, though. We're now on GoTV channel 320. That is up from the 394 where you're receiving us from. The DSTV is still channel 372 and also on free-to-air decoders. And pretty much you can get more of this as well on our YouTube channel, Smart 24 TV. You can add us up by subscribing in order to get more notifications and be part of the ever-evolving business world. It's quite a wide scope of opportunities for the business people in the country. And tell you what, the discussion that we're going to be having today is rotating around women empowerment. There's been a very huge trend in the past few decades in the country, starting from the fact that as we push for equality, which was the theme for this year's Women's Day celebrations, by the way, and as we continue to push for equality, there has been a lot of empowerment when it comes to women in education, women in leadership. Now, the bigger picture is women in business. But the question is, how resilient have they been and how resilient can they get? So today, as we continue to have all those discussions about women's economic empowerment in order to champion economic growth and sustainable development within the country. And joining me to discuss more of this, I do have Maureen Wagubi, the Executive Director, Institute for Social Transformation. And then I also have Madam Rita Kabanyoro, Country Director, Action Against Hunger, Uganda. Many thanks for joining us. I'll start with Madam Maureen Wagubi to say hello to our viewers.
Good evening to our viewers. Delighted to be here at TV as we discuss economic empowerment for women, because this is the journey that we have to take to ensure that our economies are stable. So I'm delighted to be here.
And she's coming in from the Institute for Social Transformation. Many thanks for joining us. And over to you, Ms. Rita Kabanyoro. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening, our viewers. I'm called Rita Kabanyoro. I'm a country director working with Action Against Uganda. Thank you.
All right. And it's giving me more pleasure, the fact that I'm having discussions with two women who are into these leadership roles and, of course, championing the development of women and encouraging quite a number of those to engage in such opportunities as well. Now, speaking of women empowerment, I would wish to start with Madame Maureen here. When you look at the fact that women are now engaging in all these economic activities, what strategies do you believe have been a key turning point for this to come up to where we are currently?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonko.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes, you introduced me, Maureen Wagubi. I am the Executive Director, Institute for Social Transformation. Institute for Social Transformation is a women's rights organization that works with women who are in the informal sector, but as well as smallholder farmers in the region. So, as an organization, we value economic empowerment.
Okay.
Because for us to be able to ensure that women are at the ladder that we want them to be, economic empowerment is very key.
True.
And if I'm to get back to the question that you asked, that what some of those elements or the strategies that we see that have positioned women now to be able to be economically empowered.
Yes.
One will be the access to finance. Yes, that access to finance is a driver to women's economic empowerment. Yes, to the biggest extent, though I will not say that it has really reached the 100% level that we need, because I'm seeing so many strategies that government is also putting forward, because I've sat from the side of the government, because the government is the one that embodies all of us. Like, for example, the parity development model, that we are all yearning to, that those are strategies that government is putting forward to ensure that the women are economically empowered, because even when you look at the percentages that are being set up within these PDM levels, that the women are getting the majority. And then also the there is the UWEP,
Okay.
that is the Uganda Entrepreneurship Program, that is also on the side of government. But we are also seeing the private sector coming through.
Okay.
For example, the banks that are also trying to revise the how can I call them, the packages that can suit the women in line with economic empowerment, in line with skilling them, because we are seeing those that have set up incubation centers to ensure that women are economically empowered. But we are also seeing the level of mentorship that they are injecting to ensure that we get to that level.
All right,
Yes.
I'll bring in Rita in here. When you look at the fact that she has mentioned the private sector as one of the key champions of the idea of empowering women now, when you look at the women that are employed or those that are actively in the private sector, I want to believe all of you are now in the private sector. Well, how far have we come? Because it has been a very huge journey to find women actively, being recognized in this private sector, for instance. What do you believe has been the key driving force behind this?
I think there's been very deliberate effort involving women, being very inclusive.
Yes.
For example, when you come to us who are in the NGO sector, which is still under the private sector,
Yes.
we have donors that will specifically say, for this program, you must have an 80% of the women. For me, that's the deliberate push. When you see government of Uganda bringing programs also like specifically targeting empowering women, for me, those are deliberate efforts. So we've come a long way. We still have gender norms, we still have stereotyping, we still have cultural norms that are still pushing the women down. But I realize finally they've seen the value of women.
Okay.
Finally, they understand the contribution that women have in the economy, and that has seen tremendous improvement in Uganda as a country, but also down to the household level.
All right. Let's try to address this issue about the patriarchy in society. This is a very huge concern, especially when it comes to marriage and professionalism, especially for women. There are men, I wouldn't wish to use the word insecurities in regards to that, but it's the better word. That a man feels less of himself or feels more insecure when a woman is earning more or at the same level with them, or if the woman is working somewhere. How do we address this? I don't know, I'll start with Rita here. How do we address such issues? Because when you look at the fact that we have so many women who are willing to compete for this, but when it comes to the institution of marriage, at times it tends to limit them at a given point, and some of them cease to actually achieve their potential.
I believe, first of all, there's the gaps in information.
Okay.
First of all, we have very deeply rooted cultural norms. You will find a household where a man believes I must be the head of home. Even when a woman is earning more, the income must come to me to decide what we should use it for.
The African society way.
Yes. And for most of our households, it's become normal because that's what we've known for life.
Okay.
So I think we have very significant information gaps. People don't know, people are not aware about these things. So if we can increase sensitivity, awareness around these things to say we are all equal, women are capable as much as the men are, that would go a long way. Secondly, working with men and boys as champions for the equality, gender equality issue, would also go a long way in addressing these society norms. You find women that finally understand their position. We know we should be equal, we know our rights. But you find a husband or a brother or someone who doesn't really understand what a woman can do. So if we can get these men to understand, we train them, we empower them, we get them to see the value of women, and we make them champions of this gender equality issue.
Yes.
I think that would also break a lot of the stereotypes and the norms that we have.
Okay. And now let me get to Madame Maureen here. What's your take on that? Because it does seem like it's not something that we're going to get away from in the short run. It does seem like society is still taking us back to that kind of conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So my take on that, in the kind of work that we do, That has
Yeah.
been always our fight. That has always been, the issues that are taking women back.
Yes.
But we also come from, like Rita has already alluded to that the kind of socialization we go through when we are being brought up,
Okay.
and even us, the women, we are part of that system. That even when I have a son and I have a daughter, there is a way I'm shaping this boy. You have to be a man. A
Yeah,
man,
definitely,
men
definitely.
are supposed to do like this. So it's like I'm inculcating that culture already in this young man.
Okay.
But imagine if I was doing it differently. Telling my son, this is not how you handle a woman. From what go?
Yes.
You have to be a man, but you have to be also, understanding that there is a gap between a man and a woman, but also to see that we are working together for sustainability,
Okay.
not to fight. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at, that there is these deep-rooted social norms that we are trying to
Okay.
break,
So it's just
which
like,
can't take one day.
the system is already rigged against women at times. Oh.
Yes.
But anyway, when you look at, first of all, let me just bring it in this way. We have these young women in universities. Most of them, there are those who have ideas of starting up something. And then there are those who are really into employment. They want to get done with the degree, go direct for a job and start seeking for a job. And once it fails, they kind of find out that maybe they have failed or they are complete failures. How would you encourage someone like that? Because I speak of the fact that I think you've all been through such stages, that kind of university depression. You're done with the degree, you don't know what next, but you have ideas in your mind. But because society has shaped it that women are not meant to do certain things at a certain age, by the way, how do you then outcome such challenges in society?
Thank you, Sanko. This is the conversation that I enjoy because positioning women to full empowerment,
Yes.
it takes a lot for all of us. But also looking at the education systems, what are they saying when I get to
Yes.
school? What are they trying to prepare me for? Are they preparing me to be a job seeker? Am I a job creator? How creative am I? Is this system allowing me to question certain things?
Yes.
Because we realize that, for example, I did social sciences
Yes.
at Makerere, and while there, nobody talked about money. But I thank God that I did economics
So they were just
at A level.
trying to
But
drive
they were
you
not
to
talking
social
about
work.
money.
Okay.
But money is what makes the world move. So like the education system is preparing us to become job seekers. We are going to work for the other people, the other side. And that is how it has been structured. But the narrative has to change.
Okay.
That when I'm training or speaking to young girls, because we do mentorships,
Sure.
so I'm mentoring them to say, what is that you love? What is that you're passionate about? Because that is what will propel you to get to where you want to see. What are your dreams? What is your vision and goal in life? So if we can position our children or the young people from that tender age of visioning, it will take us to another level. But show them the way. For example, take them through mentorship.
True.
Let them engage with people who have been there. If somebody says, I enjoy tailoring, who are the people who have been successful in this journey? Bring them, show them that there are people who are making it through tailoring. Because
true.
I might be having the skill in tailoring, but Rita has the skill in catering. Then it's for her, she can take on that journey and show her who are those people who are making money in cooking.
Very true.
But there is this mindset of saying, if I'm to position you and I tell you about going to tailoring, that child is a failure. You see how the community is already labeling the children. But look at other countries. What is China doing? How are the people? It is because of the vocational skills they have. But which vocational skill do you have? So as parents, as mentors, wherever we are, always try to envision and position people to deliver, but also establish an awareness, like raising awareness about yourself, because it starts with you, knowing who you are, but position them to get skills, hands-on, because that somebody cannot take it away from you.
Okay, Rita, let's talk about breaking barriers. I want to believe 50%, if I'm not mistaken, of the young women that we have are too comfortable with life to the fact that they seem to be comfortable with getting a job that is just paying them. however much, because they think in society, if you have a job, you're now successful. And then we have some few elements that are always breaking the doors because they want to be somewhere, starting up something. And I will actually use examples of my own sisters back home, my elder sisters. Back in the time, they were too comfortable when it comes to looking for jobs. But with time, they realize it's better you start up something for your own. And their businesses are blossoming in one way or the other. So how do these young women, let's speak of the young women, who seem to be too comfortable, because at the end of the day, when you're too comfortable in life, you realize it is when you will only settle for anything that comes your way, because now you have no plan in life and you simply, you're completely out of plans for you as an individual. How do we break these barriers for these young women, especially as we continue to empower them? How can they get into spaces that will influence, their leadership characters and everything?
First of all, I think we need to start the conversation early.
Okay.
And from the time someone is a little girl, we should start having these conversations to say, you should be an influencer. You should be where you want to be. You're able to do anything anyone else can do.
Okay.
But like we discussed earlier, we have societal norms where they'll tell a girl, you get married.
Exactly.
It's okay, it's fine. We recently had family gathering, so they were splitting land, as you know, this there in Africa. And in this allocation, they're saying, so the male children should get a bigger chunk of land because they have wives and children who would consider this their village.
Yeah.
And the girl children or the female children should get smaller chunks because they're going to get married
and they go to someone else.
And I'm saying, what happens to those who don't marry? What happens to the single mothers in the household?
Exactly.
What happens to those who maybe by some reason lose their husbands and they have
In the long run,
why
yes.
are you marginalizing them? Why are you giving them small pieces of land? But we're used to these things being known. So if we can start with the young girls and say, you have all the capacity, you have all the capability to do these things, that would go a long way. But secondly, we also need to be more deliberate in breaking these barriers. Can we increase our investment? When we talk about international actors like ourselves, can we make sure we design programs that are focused on ensuring these girls have all the resources they need, the support structures to be able to thrive in any economy here? But because we are raised and prepared for marriage, from a young girl, they're told you have to be a good wife, a man has to be like this, do that. We tend to put our focus in one corner and forget that we should also have aspirations of our own. We should also be aspiring to grow. I should be aspiring to lead a household besides my husband. There is no law in the universe that says the husband should be more successful than the wife or anything like that. So if we start being deliberate in empowering these girls, giving them all the resources they need, give them access to this information, they should know all these things that are going on. So that they're able to fight for themselves, but also for the generations to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now let's focus on the private sector. How can the private sector be encouraged in investing in the women-led businesses? We have quite many businesses, by the way, that are being led by women. If you go in, let's say, the informal sector, if you happen to visit most of the arcades, businesses are owned by women. And the chances are high those businesses tend to stay for quite some time. But then the issue is some of the women fear formalizing some of these businesses and fear getting into engagements with the private sector players or persons. How can we encourage the private sector, let's say stakeholders, civil society organizations and the like, to at least encourage or involve these women that are starting up or women that are in small scale businesses?
Is that directed to me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the private sector is a very good player.
Yes.
It's an enabler
Okay.
to really to facilitate trade. So from the other side, where I'm working with the women in the informal sector,
Yes.
I feel that if the private sector came through with building the capacities of these
Women.
in line with the what is it called? I'm looking for the right word. with line with the business and financial literacy,
Okay.
like the BDS, Business Development Services,
Okay.
because some of them don't get a chance for mentors. Like I said already, they need the mentorship on how do I sustain my business, not just sustaining it to be small, but to a bigger level. Do you see? Because that is where you're going to compete favorably in this economy. And then if they can offer incentives to these people to stay afloat. For example, if the bank is coming and they are giving loans, if the interest rate is at 12% per annum, you can say, okay, for women businesses, we are going to give you at 10, or we are going to give you at 9. Those are all incentives that are keeping them afloat. But also creating those platforms where women can come and showcase their businesses, can come and pitch about what they are doing.
Okay.
You see, those are all things that private sector can do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Rita, you wish to add something on that?
Yeah, I also think if we create, I like, for example, Stanbic Bank. I'm the CEO of Stanbic Bank in Uganda.
I didn't want to advertise the banks.
Personally. So when we see Stanbic Bank saying, we've put a woman leader in this position of power, you're the largest, yes, the largest bank in Uganda, and she's running it very well, and she's winning awards, and we're all seeing that it is achievable.
Yes.
So if that private sector becomes very deliberate to show the successes of women, or put these women in our faces to say it is possible, then that creates a lot of hope and encouragement for some of those that are still rising to say, we can actually get there. And like she said, most of the private sector businesses, especially, excuse me, the small scale ones are run by women. So if we became very deliberate to say, let's put these women out there, let's make them visible for people to see it can actually be done. Women can run businesses successfully. I think that would also go a long way in helping us achieve this very important mission.
All right. And when we do return after the break, we're going to be talking the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and how women can be encouraged and get involved in the same. Well, for the viewers out there, my examples normally rotate around young ladies and young women because of the fact that the kind of generation that we are having today seems to be one that wants to get things on a silver platter. And for the young women, they seem to be very vulnerable for some of the men who have made the money out there. And at the end of the day, visions, goals, and desires of these young women seem to be tarnished, and as they pursue different goals or whatever they want to achieve. But of course, empowering these women and giving them a voice to stand and keep up is definitely going to be a big answer. So we are trying to analyze most of these particular issues here on The Point as we speak big on women empowerment. So our conversations are rotating around how women can get involved into the economic development of the country as we continue to champion sustainable growth and development as a whole in our country. But of course, looking at how women can get involved in the same picture, because these are kind of discussions that we wish to at least get ourselves into. And at the end of the day, you never know. We shall be championing something that is quite important for the growth of Uganda's economy. But when we do return after the break, though, we talk bigger conversations here in regards to women empowerment and how women can position themselves in the side.